All right, traders, within this video, we're going to be breaking down the SPY. I'm going to share with you my price action analysis. This is going to give you a much better understanding on when to be long biased, when to buy the call options, when to be short biased, when to buy the put options. We're also going to be doing the same for a couple stocks on my radar. We're going to be going over Tesla, NVAX, MU, MRNA, FCEL, Costco, Adobe, right? We got a lot of good upcoming plays coming up. I wanted to walk you guys through these setups. So let's get right into the analysis. Make sure you smash that like button. So in terms of the first one, it is going to be SPY. In my opinion, I think we're setting up for another fake out. Yes, this could see new all-time highs. I just think it's due for a pullback. You know, heading into today, we saw a nasty dip into the market open, and I'm going to be looking for a similar move heading into tomorrow at market open towards some key levels of resistance. Going to be looking to grab some puts once I see a negative confirmation towards pre-market resistance. With that being said, you could see this went from like 478 in the pre-market, and it had a nasty dip where you could have made a very nice profit by getting the put options. You could see it ended up cracking key support at one moment. This went under 474, and we still have that gap to fill on the SPY that we talked about in our previous video at 471. So in terms of where I think we're at for the overall price action, I'm still leaning more towards the bearish side. For those of you, who watched my previous video, and for those of you in Trader Society, you are well aware that I learned real time that I actually exited my SPY put options on Friday, making a 30% profit return. Those were up 65% when it dipped hard in the morning that day and into market close, but I ended up getting out towards the spike on Friday. But with that being said, I made a 30% profit return on SPY put options, and I'm looking to get back in, just waiting for confirmation. So the key best level is going to be towards 479. Your second best level is going to be 478.50. You can see futures are currently going up as well, so that's another thing to keep in mind. But I'm basically looking for a similar move. I'm looking for some sort of morning panic. If this looks bearish, I'm looking to get in towards like a market open spike, kind of like similar setup to what we saw today. In terms of where I think we're at, I think we're going to see something similar to this. So just pay attention, how SPY reacts when it forms this candlestick towards all-time highs. So in terms of this candle right here, we're going to highlight it, right? Just pay attention. You have the same candlestick right here. You have the same candlestick right here. You basically have very similar candlesticks forming right here as well. So basically what this is telling us is when SPY tends to form this candle, and when it's been trading in this overall price channel with an overreaction like we talked about in previous videos, and it also recently ended up breaking down out of this key support channel at 475.80. I just think we're due for some sort of pullback once again before we're just consistently blasting off into new all-time highs for another new run up. So I think that's where we're at. I think we're going to see some limited upside. I think we're going to see some resistance come in. For the short term being, I don't think there's too much more upside potential on it. Best case scenario, you get like a nice gap up heading into market open, which is what we're currently on track to do. And then a quick morning spike. And then I think from there, it's just going to be downhill fairly early in the morning for setting up for a nice quick trade, potential swing trade, but a nice quick scalp on a SPY put. So the key level for that is going to be towards 479. If it breaks above that in the pre-market, then I'm looking for the pre-market high pullback, and then I'm looking for a morning spike towards that, looking to potentially get some SPY puts early into the morning around like 9:35, 9:37 a.m. And then for a quick scalp, ride this back down up until like 10 a.m. So yeah, keep that in mind. If this has a big pullback early in the morning, stocks like to have short-term reversals at around 10 a.m. Plus the volatility starts to dry up at around 10:30 a.m. So you're going to want to get out and lock in profits. That's what I'm looking for on SPY. Like I said, in terms of the pattern, it's still showing weakness in the overall price action channel. And in terms of the candlesticks, it just shows that it's a limited upside. And, best case scenario, I think it just gaps up, but overall, I think it's going to come back down. And you can just see whenever it forms that candle, it's just limited upside and starts to come back down overall as a whole for the short term being. So that's my views on the SPY. The next stock is going to be NVAX. So in terms of NVAX, you guys are well aware from my previous video, this is expected to be one of the best plays heading into 2022 here. And with that being said, there's a gap to fill at 135. Today, it did end up partially filling the gap. You could see right here, it almost filled it. Having that partial gap close reversal basically means it partially filled the gap, had a reversal, bottomed at 135.40, and then it ended up going, red to green on the day, closing fairly strong. So for this to continue to run, this is what I'm looking for into tomorrow. This is key right here. So in terms of NVAX, right where I draw this line right here, see how that's heavy support? It's currently reacting as resistance because it just had a major pullback at market open, right? So if we can get a breakout above 144.50 and that can turn into support, this is really going to push and really start to run up towards like 154. That would be the target in terms of tomorrow. So we're looking at a potential 10-point move. So basically heading tomorrow, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a break above 144.50. If we don't get it and it's looking weak, the max risk on that would be 140, right? In terms of the overall price action, looking at the chart, to me, this is a very bullish pin. This is a bullish pin. This is a bullish candlestick. I think we're due for some upside potential towards like 154. Now, as an overall picture, I still think we're going to go back to 135. As an overall haul, I still think we're going to go back to 135. I'm just thinking we go to 154 before we go back to 135. What's going to determine that is if 144.50 can turn into a support level and break out. If it can, it goes 154. If it continues to react as a resistance level, like it has done right here, right here, right here, then it goes back to 135, right? So that's my thoughts. That's my views on NVAX at the moment. In terms of MU, I'm looking at a potential play. You could see right here, you have all-time highs, major resistance, right? Just to show an example of this play, there was a gap to fill right here. This was the highest gap to fill above, the most overbought one, the best key level to play a gap close reversal, right? And you could see once it filled this gap, it started to have a reversal. Overall trend direction was down from there. And you could see that same setup is about to occur. There's a gap to fill right here at 96.17. So if we can start to see, this one's in development, I got to give this one time to develop. If we start to see some red bearish candlesticks, some bearish pins forming towards that key gap fill level, then I'm going to be interested in buying a put and swinging those out for a couple weeks. So that's a play that I'm looking at on MU where it's a passive swing. In terms of Moderna, a lot of you guys were asking about mRNA. So in terms of mRNA stock, as of now, this does look bearish for the micro bean. I'm not liking this daily candlestick. It looks like we're going to see more downside potential. In terms of the overall price channel, this is going to be your price channel. 232 to 236. If it can break out above 236, turn it into support, it's going to go back up to fill this gap at 253. Now, if it breaks down below this 232 level, it's going to start to really downtrend and go back to right around here, which is at 222. And if 222 cracks, then it goes to 213. So basically the play on this one would be to look to see if it can break out and turn this 236 level into a support level. If it can do that, it should come back very, very strong and push to fill this gap at 254, which is where you'd want to lock in profits on that. So that's something to keep an eye on. As of now, it's still reacting as a resistance level and it's forming lower highs. And like I said, on the daily chart, the candlestick looks bearish. What's going to really determine that is going to be tomorrow. So if you see this red line react as a resistance level right here towards 232, it's bearish. It's going to go to 220. If you see it break above and react as support at 236, then it's bullish. It's going to head to 250s. The next one is FCEL. I'm short biased on this one. In terms of the play for this particular one would be, I'm thinking a short-term play like a January 7th and a put option, go a little bit out of the money, a 5.5 put. With that being said, in terms of FCEL, this is the setup. It's a gap close reversal to fill the gap below. So it's the inverse. It's the same strategy, just the inverse that I'm using on NVAX. You can use it both ways. So you could see right here, you have key support on FCEL. Your key support is going to be right here at 590 with huge upside potential, right? And then you could see it recently cracked and gapped down, very, very bearish. And there's now a gap to fill right here at $5 and like 88 cents, $5.86, right around there. Today's the day. where it filled that gap and it's starting to have a reversal. Look at how bearish the reaction is. Very, very negative bearish reaction. Look at the hard sell-off coming in. Look at the volume spike. The volume spike was unreal on this candle. Ever since it formed that candle, it's been nothing but a downtrend for the most part, with small little bounces towards the 569 level. With that being said, I think we're in the process of having a gap close reversal where this is going to start to go back down and fill this gap that's waiting to fill below at 520. So the target on this for tomorrow is 550. The target by Friday is going to be 520 to fill that gap. So those put options can potentially make 50% plus. It all depends on how quickly it crashes, right? With that being said, heading into tomorrow, 590 would be the max risk on the put. For the bears to step in and take control, they need to crack 570, turn into resistance. If that can happen, it goes to 550. Once 550 cracks, turn into resistance, then it goes back down to fill this gap at 520. That's what I'm looking at on FCEL. I'm extremely short biased on that one. Costco, I'm extremely bullish and long biased on that one. I think we're setting up for new all-time highs. You got very bullish candlesticks, very bullish wicks coming in on Costco. This is another one to keep an eye on to potentially buy the breakout. It's probably best to buy the dips on this. But just know, looking at these bottom wicks, like it looks like we're setting up for some new all-time highs. So I'm extremely bullish, extremely long biased on Costco. It's going to start to break out once it can go above 567.70 and turn that into support. As for Adobe, we did crack through the key level, but it's trying to come back. So if you are still in on this play and you did not cut your losses, what we need to see happen very, very quickly is we need to see 567 break out and turn into support. If it reacts as a resistance level, it's going to continue to go lower and head back towards 540s overall within some time. The bulls can manage to take control. If they can push above 567, they'll be back in control. The chart is a little bit sloppy right now. At this point, this can really go either way. I'm still leaning a little bit more towards the long bias side, even though we did crack the key level. But with that being said, guys, if this previous support reacts as a resistance level tomorrow, it's going to be extremely bearish and it's going to be a hard sell from there. You're not going to want to be in that if you're still in on that. So yeah, those are the top watches. Those are the top plays. My main focus. Oh, and Tesla. How can we forget about Tesla? Within the chat room, I told members I was extremely bullish, extremely long biased on this one. We had one member, Victor, do very, very well. He's consistently killing it on this one. With that being said, this is heading to fill this gap. There's a gap to fill at 1220, $1,220. There's a gap to fill. It's the highest gap to fill above. One thing to keep in mind in terms of Tesla stock, it likes to gap and go. When this stock has its gap up, it likes to keep on going. Just study every single time Tesla has a nice gap up, it tends to continue to keep on going up. It tends to be a multi-day runner, right? Now, with that being said, we are approaching the best level, and it's very hard to do this, but if you were interested in buying a put or shorting Tesla, we're approaching the best level to do so. In terms of timing, the chart is still extremely bullish, and this is due for a continuation in the gap and go. But what I want you to be aware of is I want you to be aware of this 1220 level. There's a gap to fill at 1220, right towards all-time highs. If you see it, basically, once you see that react as a resistance level and it looks bearish and it's cracking down, it's reacting as a key breakdown, you're going to want to buy some puts. It's going to have a nice pullback if you see that happen. Now, if this can break above 1220 and turn into support, we're going to get the new all-time highs. So I just want you to be aware and understand that this 1220 key level should hit tomorrow, and that's going to be key. If it reacts as support, Tesla's going to be really strong. It's going to push for new all-time highs and will likely head to $1,300 later into the week or into the month. Now, if you ever see 1220 react as a resistance, react as a key breakdown, say it breaks above 1220 and you're on the sidelines, right? Or maybe you're in a call or whatever it is, right? If you ever see this react as a resistance level or it starts breaking down, it looks bearish at 1220, you're going to want to try and grab a put because there's going to be much more downside for the short term being than upside. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's a gap close reversal setup. You got some gaps to fill below. This is a very, big overreaction, but the news is very positive as well. So you got to be careful. But just know Tesla's due for some sort of pullback. I just want you to be aware of that key level. Looking at its chart though, it does like continuing to gap and go. It does like being a multi-day runner, and it looks very, very strong right now. So just be aware of the 1220 level. If you ever see it, say it breaks out, let it do its thing. Whatever you're doing, you're buying calls or you're on the sidelines, whatever it is that you're doing, just be aware of 1220. And if it reacts as a resistance, or if you see it breaks out, but it starts cracking below, it reacts as a resistance, reacts as a key breakdown, you're going to want to grab a put on Tesla if that were to occur. So that's a key level that I want you to keep in mind moving forward. Pay attention to that level. Reacts as support, it's bullish. Reacts as a resistance, it's very, very bearish. Tesla's going to go crazy this week. It's something you want to keep an eye on for sure. So yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my analysis. For those of you within Trader Society, I will catch you live at Market Open tomorrow, like we always do. We always do the live trading stream, Market Open tomorrow. I also shared with you guys the written watch list within the chat room, right, where I give you all the price targets and the written plans and stuff like that. And if you do want to be a part of Trader Society, more information is down below in the description. It's the first link. You can get access to the video lesson library where I teach risk management, psychology, and all of the trading strategies. You also get access to the live trading streams. Every single day at Market Open, you get to trade live with me via webinar. And then you also get access to the chat room, into the watch list within the chat room. And we have a lot of, we got a couple good people within this chat room, man. They're really adding value and they're killing it, man. We got some big hitters. We have one guy, he's trading with 8 figures. We have another guy with 7 figures. And then we have a couple people with 6 figures, and these guys are doing very, very well and they're helping out members. So I really do appreciate that. You guys know who you are. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. There's going to be some great content coming soon with some of the members. We have a couple members getting really, really good results. Going to be doing a webinar with them into this month. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, guys, there's a lot to the program. If you want to learn more about it, it's the first link in the description. And I will see you guys within the next video. And I'll see you, trading live if you're in Trader Society live at Market Open.